Let me ask y'all something before we get even started tonight. Let me ask y'all something. If the money disappeared tomorrow, would you still be in love? I'm taking no trips, no gifts, no luxury car, no rent being paid, no bills being covered, no shopping, no lifestyles, just you and that person. Hmm. Would you still want them, or would the relationship disappear right along with the money? Hmm?
Hmm.
I need your first reaction. No safe answer. If the money stopped tomorrow, do you think a lot of these relationships will survive? Can you tell me this thing?
Well, I think that's a tough one. That's a tough one because I would say in the relationship I'm in right now, I feel like the money would not matter. I'm in a ride to life with my guy right now, right? My husband. But I'm telling you, with the previous one, I don't know. I don't know. Because
Okay.
especially when you're the one that's putting in the work and the finances, would you keep letting them hang on your coattail? So that's why I say that's a tricky one. Hmm.
Okay. Now that's exactly where we're talking about tonight. So hold that tight. Hold on that thought. And we going to go ahead and get right into it because we want to talk about it tonight, y'all. So let me bring y'all in so we can go ahead and talk about it.
Woo. It's tough. This gonna be a good one.
Talk it all with me. What?
All right, y'all. So now that we brought up that question and I got
Mm.
y'all first reaction on there, I want y'all to just think about what we talked about. But before we get started, let's just let you know I am your girl Denise Murray, and this is my girl Denise Day all day. And this is where we talk it out with D and D, two Denises, two perspectives, and two people who just gonna talk about it, and we gonna keep it 100% real. And tonight we're
Yes.
talking about something that people really don't like admitting. Some people are not saying staying because they're deeply in love. Let's keep it real. They ain't staying because they in love. They staying because they got them bills paid. They staying because that rent is covered, because them gifts keep coming, because they keep taking them trips. They got that car, that lifestyle, and that security. And sometimes they're willing to accept disrespect, cheating, unhappiness, and being treated badly because walking away would mean losing that comfort.
Wow.
Now that can go both ways, but let's talk about it, Miss Day.
Yeah, like I said, I think that it really depends on where your heart is. Because your mind can be telling you one thing, but if your heart is not in it, then it's not gonna fly long anyway. That plane's gonna crash at some point, right? But what I found, and like in my good old ripe old age of 63, it took me some time because I am a very loyal person. And
Right.
sometimes your loyalty can get you caught up in a trick bag as well. But even when and this is my third marriage, third time was the charm. But when
Right.
I was younger, it really wasn't any finances, anything really in it to that we were hanging on to. I was married at 19 till I was 22. So that young marriage didn't even have a lot. When we split, I was like, you keep the car, I got the furniture, I'm good. I'm not gonna die in this, right? I'm too young for this. So I got out. Second marriage, when I'm 45, I felt like, but see, I put that together too. That was me putting my hand and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I was the breadwinner in that relationship. But I kind of felt like I got conned while I was in it, right? You know how they be giving you that talk and it's not really real.
Right,
But
right.
and then in the midst of that, I realized this dude don't even really like me. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like he, let alone love me, he did not like me, and yet I'm footing the bills. I'm carrying this ship. I keeping everything afloat. So at that point, after 8 years, the Lord knew I'm getting out of this. I'm not gonna die in this. That was
Mm-hmm.
my mindset.
Right,
But then when I got out of that, now I get into my third marriage. My husband was very capable and able, had good working ethic, and loved me, right?
mm-hmm.
In a short period of time, I felt that in my heart. So I was willing to say to him, "I'm relocating states. Are
Mm-hmm.
you willing to come with me?" So I was willing to put it on the line because I felt like he was the one. So
Okay.
in that moment, I got you. Just come on. But as soon as we got to where we was going, he on his feet, he doing the thing. So that's how, and then he loves me, take care of me. You know, I'm in my soft era now, right? But
Mm-hmm.
so it ain't even like no worry about it. If either one of us was to go down or go under today, I know the other one has us. It ain't about the money. It's real love. But
Mm-hmm.
if you in some stuff to where you're not sure if it's love, if it's lust, or whatever it is, if it's financial gain, you got to really pray about that because it can get tricky real quick. And
Right,
and that's the way to find out if somebody riding with you. Get unemployed. You'll
right.
find out. Or if they continually unemployed and they just want to eat off you, you'll find out real fast.
Now,
That's
like
my
I said, you
opinion.
are a woman and it was happening to you. So they can go both ways. It can be a man,
Yep.
it can be a woman. It's not one sided. Because there
It
are
wasn't.
some men who can be out there. The men can have a nice car, making good money, doing things that they, living like they supposed to be living. But then there's women who may not, they want to live off of that man. They want to see, they getting with him because he driving a nice car. They getting with him because he making a certain amount of money. They getting with him because he got a nice house. And then you got some people who may just be getting with you because they need somewhere to live. They ain't got nowhere to. So
Yeah,
they see you got a
yeah.
place, and they trying to move in. They bringing bags little by little, and, so it's a thing of if he pays or she pays. Because I'm not going to say it's one sided because it can be men and this can happen to women. So it can be either or. There are some men that go through this, and to be honest, in my opinion, I feel like, and I don't want to seem bias or whatever, but I feel like men go through this more than women sometimes. Now, it might have changed a little bit more lately, but I feel like sometimes men can sometimes go through this a lot of times more sometimes than women do, because you'll have women who they like now. I see these different videos where these chicks be sitting there, like I saw the one about the whole taking her to certain places to eat and all that kind of stuff. I'm just like, really? Like, when did we get to this? Like, but I'm just like, for me, I just think that a lot of times with women, and I hate to say this because I am a woman, but I see a lot of times women getting married and getting in certain situations all because they want the assistance. They looking for security more than they really looking for love. They put all this stuff, they trying to get married, they doing all this type of stuff all because they want somebody to help them with the bills, opposed to them setting themselves up and then them being, and not saying you have to go 50-50, but y'all able to do things together. Like, you might have a situation where your house can have the husband may, or the man can pay the mortgage or the rent, and then the woman can be paying the
The other
utilities,
stuff.
and then, so you see what I'm saying? So it should be able where it could go together, but I feel like sometimes some people, and like I said, it can be either or. I'm not just going to say men, I'm not just going to say women, because there are
Right.
some men who sometimes, like you said, can sit up on a woman. They'll come over, they don't have nowhere to stay. Like, I remember I saw a post way back when where they said it was getting ready to get cold, so now you'll get the guy that wouldn't really be paying attention. All of a sudden he in love with you because he needs somewhere he needs somewhere to stay. So, you know
No.
I said, it could be a thing where they don't have nowhere to
Yep.
go,
Yep.
not working. You know what I mean? But again, like I said, I feel like it can be both sides. So
It
before
can.
we go any further, everybody watching, I need y'all to do me a favor in the comments. Drop in the comments right now. Put in, who do you think is doing it the most? Like, who do you feel right now is like, who you feel like, or if you saying you're in a relationship, have you been in something where you've been in love, or you just been comfortable, or you know somebody who's just been comfortable and they just in a situation? Tell me in the comments. Put in there love, in love, or just comfortable in the comments. And let's go ahead and
Wow.
start there. How do you know whether somebody really loves you or just loves what you do for them? I'm gonna say that again. How do you know whether somebody really loves you or they just love what you're doing for them? Are they still interested when there's nothing, when there's no money to spend? Are they still supportive when no money gets tight, when the money getting tight or it's getting hard? Do they love the person on the access, or will they still stay if the lifestyle has changed? And are though emotional investments or financially dependent? You see what I'm saying? Like, I see a lot of times these celebrities, and I don't want to name names to be putting people out there, whatever, but I watched a couple of them, and I like I said, I don't want to sound like I'm just bashing people or whatever, but I watch different situations where I see the baby mamas, and they get with people with some money, and then all of a sudden when they ain't together, and then it's like, I need all this money every month to take care of this kid, and or I need to still live the lifestyle I lived when I was with you. And it's those types of things. And it's like I said, these days it's not just men and it's not just women, it's both people, because you've seen where women is sitting here paying those alimony payments, and there's women sitting there paying those alimony payments. So it's both ways where this is going. But sometimes those relationships from the outside, you looking at them like, man, that's, you see these people, they relationship goals because they got a nice house, the nice car, designer clothes, vacations, no, you feel like, oh, they over there, they ain't arguing, they doing their thing. So do you think people sometimes confuse financial security with love? Let me ask you that, Miss Day.
I absolutely do. I absolutely do. But because, like you say, but that's why I'm telling you, you got to have a spirit of discernment. You
Mm,
got to have a spirit of discernment so that you know who you dealing with. And you better seek God about that. Because, like I say, sometimes we put stuff together because that's what we want to do. I wanted to be married to a man in the church with God and blah, blah, blah.
mm,
I had a real relationship with God, but I let a spirit come in that was just a spirit of a con artist is all I can call it. But when you come to yourself, you got to get an understanding. But here's the other thing too: when you're trying to play that dirty game to
mm.
where you gonna try to trip somebody up just to get into their finances, you better have a plan B. Because
Yes.
when they come to themselves and they see through you, and the spirit of the Lord show them for what they really are, or the mask cracks and slips, and
Mm,
they see you, then you better have another plan, because you're gonna need to get to stepping, right? And
mm,
so that's where it kind of can blow up. But prayerfully, you won't get into it like that. But I think some people think they are so slick and they can outmaster you and trip you up that you'll just be stuck with it. Like you say, some people just want a warm body in the bed in the wintertime.
mm,
What do you really want long term?
mm,
Because I was shook. I was shocked. As much as I did, even putting a person name on my house, doing
mm.
all that I did, and wouldn't even fed me some raw oatmeal when I was going through cancer. Nigga, I know you don't really like me, okay? But you gotta understand that it's okay. God, when you release some foolishness, God got something better for you. But
Mm,
I think that discerning spirits got to come in. I would have never thought nobody that I did that much to was even trying to cheat on me in my house.
mm.
Are you crazy? And see, I'm from the Lou. I'm from St. Louis. I don't play them games, but I ain't finna catch no case either. So
Right.
you gonna have to go. Okay? I
Now,
didn't care what your
let me back it up though, because you say that, but can somebody make your life easier and still just be the wrong person for you? Like, you can actually
but
be.
that's a difference. If they contributing,
It can be a situation. Let's just say you have, like, say for instance, you're like, I want to do these things. Like, I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to do that. But I know my income. So I
Mhm.
know if I did all of this on my own, I won't be able to do that. But if I stay with you, and then here it is, you're paying certain things. So now I can live the life that I really want. Not saying that I'm really all that in love with you or I care about you that much, but the fact that your finances coming in to the door is helping me be able to do the things that I want to do, and then now making it easier for both of us. So is it
Yes.
for convenience or really, like
Yes. You
that?
know what? I agree with that. You know what that's called? It's called friends. It's called roommates. That's what it's called. And then if y'all want to be getting down and kicking boots, then it's a friend with benefits. But see, we got to talk about that. We got to have that understanding going in that you my homeboy, you my homegirl. We just living life and we traveling, we doing what we do. We are friends. But see, then where it could get complicated if your friend living in your house and then you meet that person that you really want a relationship with.
Mhm.
Now, what you gonna do with your friend? How is that new person gonna be looking at your homegirl living in your house that can kick boots with you at any time? That it wouldn't work for me, but it may work for somebody else.
Right.
But if we just gonna travel the world and have fun, we are called roommates. But
Mm.
we gotta have that understanding. Nobody should be confused. I see people jumping in over there in the TikTok. Y'all don't stand in the hallway, jump in. But I'm just, me myself, I wouldn't be able to deal with that because my man ain't gonna have no female roommate.
Right.
Nah, but some people, if you ain't thinking about no long-term relationships and y'all just want to travel the world and cruise together and go
Mhm.
to jazz festivals and kick it, then by all means, we're helping each other. But y'all better have an understanding. How is it gonna grow? Is there a house to be bought? Is there ties? That's what I'm trying to say. If y'all don't have no real emotional or physical assets or ties together, then it probably can work. But not if you're really trying to build nothing. I think that would be different. I think that would
Right.
be different. But in this economy, hell, I ain't mad at you if you want to get a roommate you can kick it with. That's on you.
Now let's keep it 100%. Now there are people who they are just so unhappy. They know the relationship is overly emotional, but they also know if I leave, who's gonna pay this rent? Who's gonna pay this
Oh,
mortgage? Who's gonna pay for these kids? Who's gonna pay for this lifestyle? And that fear can keep people stuck. So my question to you is staying for financial help always wrong?
I would say no. It depends. I would say absolutely it's not a wrong situation because if that's what it's going to take for you to be inside, then you do what you got to do to stay inside. But you got to tell that person. You and that person needs to communicate. Y'all need to have cooperation and understanding because if you know it in your head and you doing some little slick Willie or some slick Jane stuff and the other person don't know, that can get very volatile. That
Mm.
can get to be very volatile. And that's how people get hurt when you got an agenda and the other person don't know. But if I know I can,
I think that happens all the time, though. I just feel like there are people who really just stay because of the financial situations because they don't want to leave because they possibly could be homelessness, or it could be a situation where there's children involved and they don't want to uproot their children, or
that's
where the
true.
person has never supported themselves, so they don't even really know how to survive. Because and one of the things I always say, and this is kind of a little off the situation, but it's still similar, because you have some people who will leave from, let's just say you growing up, you live with your parents. And I always tell both men and women, especially women, always say you need to have your own place before you go living with someone else, before you go living with a man or whoever, because a lot of times when you leave from, I see these women sometimes where they'll leave from their parents' home and go straight to a man, and if the man is the one doing mostly all the taking care of the household. So then that woman has never done that, don't know what it's like to do a lot of those things, and then when they get in that situation later on, they be lost if something, God forbid, happens to the person. Like I see where the husband will pass away and then they so confused, like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Or if the husband is in the service and goes away, and then they're like, oh my God, because they're so used to being with
Somebody
someone
taking
else
care.
doing it, they have never been the person taking care of homes. They don't know how to budget, they don't know how to do certain things because they always had someone else that was there doing things with them. So at what point does dependency become unhealthy?
Well, let me be clear about this, because that last question you asked, I thought we were talking about from my perspective. Because
Mm-hmm.
you're absolutely right. Because if I would have allowed my ex to
Mm-hmm.
keep staying in my 5 bedroom, 3 bath house and half-ass working, oh, he'd have been fine to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
I had to make a decision. Do I want better for my life? Am
Mm-hmm.
I gonna die in a relationship where I know the dude I'm with don't even like me, let alone love me? See,
Mm-hmm.
that's when it becomes on you. The onus is on you in your life. What are you going to do? And I had to make that decision. But I had that guy. He would have stayed right there, watching all that cable and all them big screen TVs and eating up the food and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I had to say no. In same way, if it was me and I
Mm-hmm.
would have been in his house being a derelict and just being the person like that, I have to say, what am I going to do to get out of here? What do I need to do to prepare myself to live a better life? But
Mm-hmm.
see, my character ain't going to allow me to do that to nobody.
Right,
But
right.
other people's character could. So you got to be prepared for what are you going to do and what are you going to deal with. And I wasn't going to deal with it. And I'm paying the mortgage and the bills and
Mm-hmm.
the insurance on the cars. The
Mm-hmm.
hell?
Now, see,
Well,
for me, it was a little different. Now, I was in a situation where I was staying with someone, and I found out that the person was doing, messing with other people, doing all their dirt and everything else. However, we then left each other alone. But you figure I had moved from one state to another state. So I
okay.
was like, people in my ear, like, oh, just stay in the situation. Because at that time, they were like, "Oh well, he's paying the mortgage," and I'm like, "Okay, but I was paying my bills before I met him. Whether he's paying that now, I can pay it I can pay it after him. So I'm not going to just stay in a situation that I know clearly this ain't for me, and I'm just going to just stay just because somebody paying the bill when I can pay it myself. That's what I work for. You know what I mean? So it's like for me, some people stay. I hear a lot of people, and I see that a lot,
Because
and that is why I think this answer isn't always going to be as simple as
easy.
just
It's not.
leave. It's not going to be the same for everybody. And if you know or if you don't love somebody and pretending because they paying the bills, now that's a whole nother different conversation. So I
Or
want y'all to
kids.
answer. I want y'all in the comments. I want y'all to answer this: is staying because you need financial help wrong? Say yes or no in the comments. If you're staying because of financial help, like you got your mortgage, you got your bills, you got certain things that you got to
Car
pay,
notes.
do you say yes, no, or depends in the
And
comments?
kids, Nisi, that's what I think too, that I left out the
Sometimes
equation.
people say yeah with them
If
kids.
you have children, I'm calling them kids. If you have children, the dynamic changes. But
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't my testimony. And a lot of times, things and situations that we do is dependent on how we were raised. See,
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in them 60s and I
Mm-hmm.
saw a lot of drama and trauma. And
Right,
as a child, I was like, I ain't dealing with no trauma. So I,
right.
I, I had a whole different mindset of what's going on now in these generations. But children add another dynamic and another layer. So I can't speak as a 40-some-year-old established woman with no children. I had a dog, okay? Me and the dog, even he brought the dog.
Right.
Godly. But
Now, see,
children make a difference.
right, but we see versions of this play out publicly all the time, especially in celebrity relationships, high income
Mm.
relationships. People fighting over breakups, over money, support,
Oh, yeah.
lifestyle, access. And for instance, I remember I watched a thing not long ago, and it was with Marlon Wayans at the time, and the baby mom was asking for all this money. The same thing with 50 Cent, and the same thing with T.I. And it was like all these different people where I remember the situation with 50 Cent where I was choked up because he was giving her $50,000 a month. And then she was wanting more money. And I'm sitting there like, hold up there. I'm just like, now sometimes it's just a little bit too much. And then they was like going off of him because I guess the last girl he was with or whatever, they were saying that she broke it off because she asked him to help her financially for a business or something like that. And so my next question for y'all is, when you're in a relationship with somebody, do you feel like they are obligated to help you and put in your business or doing things for you in to help your situation? Do you feel like they're obligated to do it because they're with you? if they have it now, is one thing if you want to help me a little bit, but do you think there should be ties? Like, how do you think that should come apart? Like, when it comes to that, if it's like that type of money, like we talking about celebrity status now. Like, if it's that type of,
Celebrity status or real life status?
I'm talking about celebrity status.
Oh,
Like, if we
okay.
talking about these people with this type of money where you can throw out $50,000 a month or whatever like that, do you think that because they have those high incomes, do you feel like they should be obligated to help somebody who's not in that same bracket, or do you feel like they should just date in the same scale?
I think that for me, like if okay, say it's a celebrity situation and
Mm-hmm.
we have a child together, okay? You know how they always talk about you're obligated to put me in the lifestyle of which I'm accustomed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to court like you do, just have a decent break, right? And you go to the courthouse and all of these things are going down. I think, okay, whatever that amount of money is, because if the court would award me $50,000 and I have one child, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going to do? I'm going to accept that settlement and then I'm going to get myself out of the mansion that I live in. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to purposely downgrade my life and I'm still going to collect that 50 grand a month. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to take excellent care of my child, put my child in a good school. They'll be accustomed to the lifestyle because daddy done gave us 50 grand a month. But I'm not going to still be living in a mansion buying Maybachs and luxury cars because at some point that kid's going to turn 18 and
Mm-hmm.
that financial obligation is going to be over. But I guarantee you, I would have money stacked on top of stacks. I would do investments and I would set me and my child up for the future. But
Mm-hmm.
still buying red bottoms and Maybachs and living in mansions makes no sense to me because at any time, they can go back to court and adjust that monies.
Right, right.
So I know that can happen too. But so I would not, I don't, and now, okay, that's celebrity lifestyle. In real life, I think that if you're with a guy, if y'all don't have no kids, say y'all dating, you're
Mm-hmm.
not obligated to help me, but it would be very nice because
Mm-hmm.
if you're not obligating me, what am I giving you? What is the exchange here? What are we doing for each other? So I think that would come into the conversation, but
Mm-hmm.
by no means are you obligated because that means marriage. To me, if you gonna be obligated to me, we gonna be tied in. Our finances gonna be together. We got bank accounts that we have access to. We on each other's insurance
But let me
policy.
say, let me step in on that because, like, I feel like this.
I'm going off the rails.
Even
I'm
with,
sorry.
even with marriage, though, like you can say, okay, yes, it can be married, or if you're not married. But if you married, do you still feel if you want to jump out and start a venture, do you feel your husband is supposed to be or your wife should be obligated to support that thing that you're jumping out for? Or should that be something that you put aside and put that together because that's something that you truly want? That's your thing, it's not that person. So do you feel like that shouldn't be put on your partner if that's something that you want to do?
No, I think again, see, I'm a very big conversationalist. I
Mm,
believe in conversation because when you get a good conversation,
mm,
everybody knows where everybody is.
right.
So if my husband knows that this is something that I'm passionate about, that I really want to do, he and I are going to have a conversation. And
Mm,
then I'm going to ask him, how do you feel about this? This is how I feel about it. And will you support me in this?
right.
And so then at that point, yes, it's his obligation to support me as his wife and whatever he wants to do, he talked to me about it and then I'm going to support him.
Mm,
That's the partnership.
right.
It's not a lone wolf around here because if you start doing that, you don't know where the money going, you don't know what's happening. That's a whole thing of a breakdown. Like they say, people fall out over money because we didn't discuss it. But if
Right.
we knew where the money was going, what is your passion? And then you hopefully you know something about me before you married me and you know what I'm capable of. And if you think that's not a good thing that I'm doing, I want you to be able to pull my coat. I got people in my life that can pull my coat and say, you know what, Nisi, that's not the best idea.
Right.
That's not good timing. So that's where it comes in. But just jumping out and going, starting stuff, and you
Hmm.
didn't tell your spouse, you asking for trouble.
Now, maybe it's not the mansion. Maybe it's not the two-bedroom apartment. Maybe it's not that Lamborghini. Maybe it's just that he pays the car note. Maybe he just pays the rent. Or maybe she or he buys the groceries. Or maybe somebody's covering the phone bill. But the question is still the same. If the benefit disappeared, would the relationship still exist?
For me, if I love the person, yes. If
Okay.
I'm in love with you and I'm down with you and we are ride to life, we ain't riding to die around here. We riding to life. We're gonna elevate. We're doing our best. And if somebody's not in their best position, then we covering each other. That's how I see a relationship. But
Right.
if you was already a half stepper and a joker and you was on some ish, you can get going. Like
Right.
well, honey, I'm telling you, when I put you out, you got 4 minutes. When
Right.
that Joe who sang that song, you got 4 minutes. Get it together and get out of here. But
Mm-hmm.
no, if we're riding to life and we're supporting each other and we are in love, and
Mm-hmm.
love is action. Love ain't all that tingly. Your body parts is tingling and stuff. No, what are you showing me as an action? Love is a action word
Mm-hmm.
for me. It ain't just emotion and how I had felt. I've learned to know love is action. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're not putting forth no action, no commitment, no nothing, we ain't gonna do this. No, no.
Now, this is where the conversation is about to get serious. What happens when someone is willing to accept disrespect because they don't want to lose the lifestyle? Now, we seen this just recently with the whole Diddy thing, and we seen a whole bunch of little different situations. And we talk about the cheating, the emotional abuse, the constant disrespect, the control issues, being ignored, being embarrassed publicly, feeling trapped, and that
Ooh.
financial. And the biggest one I would say that kills a lot of people is that financial control. And so I'm going to say something that may make somebody uncomfortable, but
Say it,
money,
girl. Say it.
but money can make a bad situation feel tolerable. But tolerable does not mean healthy. So I'm gonna ask you: do you think people convince themselves they're happy because their material needs are being met?
You asking me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they absolutely do that because some people feel like, and I'm talking to everybody. This is my opinion. Some people will tolerate being drugged through the streets with
Mm-hmm.
no clothes on by the nape of their necks just so that they can stay in them relationships. But
Mm-hmm.
here's the scary part, and I'm gonna use these young people as an example because I almost just welled up with tears of just anger when I was seeing, okay, them young people with what is that creep name? Blueface. Blueface and the Krishan and the Nevaeh. Young lady just had a baby by this creep. But they were saying he's so disrespectful because of his relationship that he had with his mom, right? But that young lady who just got a week old baby with him calls her the bitch, calling her out of her name, and she got a 4-year-old son that's sitting in the midst of that, listening to him cuss his mother out on a daily, on a live stream. They on that Kick channel, that streaming. So they
Well,
made $25,000 in 1 week. $25,000. But he sit there, even when she was pregnant, called her every name but a child of God. And that young lady, she tried to argue back with him. Well, F you, F
so
you,
was
you.
if they was on that, was they doing it for clout or was they for real
No,
like
he
not
really act like he
oh,
hates her.
oh,
He
okay.
wants her to get out of the house,
I don't
and
know.
he got another one. He'll fall back to Krishan, and
Mm,
he cuss her out. They used to fight and drink. Then
mm,
there's another one supposed to be pregnant, and I'm sitting there watching this like this young lady has no confidence, no self-esteem. But what she don't realize, your little boy is watching this, and
mm-hmm,
your newborn is hearing this. It
mm,
is crazy work to me, but they live in this big old house. He already telling her she can't go to the new house. He take the other one on a shopping spree. But see, he got a bunch of kids, two, three, four, five. Got 5 kids already. And
mm,
see, they'll be lucky if by the time any of them 18 if he have a dime. But
mm,
that's the abuse that you're willing to take to be in a so-called lifestyle. Girl, he called it the circus. He
mm.
said, you know what you're getting into when you join my circus.
Oh wow.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, and they're
But
sitting
the
there.
thing is, you stay in those type of situations, but then once you finally in that situation, some people don't even miss the person after the breakup. They only miss the access to that person. Like even when that whole thing was going down, like and like I said, I hate to drag anybody or whatever, but even when that whole thing was going with Diddy and the girl, what's her name, that was,
Oh, Cassie. Yeah, it's
you know,
Cassie.
when she was putting in her stuff. And I kind of was looking at her cross-eyed because I'm looking at her like, you could have got out of this situation a long time ago, but like she said in the transcripts and on the text messages, she didn't want nobody else to have that position. She wanted to stay in a lifestyle. So you stayed in a lifestyle where you was getting drugged and beat and financially controlled, all because you wanted to stay in that status. And same thing they were saying with the R. Kelly situation. Like they're the same thing with the whole, when they try to say the things with Bill Cosby. Like a lot of these
Yeah.
people stay because of money, and not even in just celebrity status. There are people who are in relation. I watched a relationship with a girl and a guy who the boy ain't got no money, and it's the girl who's working and taking care of her kids and everything, and he throwing her head against the wall every time you turn around, but yet and still she's right there every time you turn around with her kids. And we sit there, everybody's looking like, why are you there? But it's like, some people sometimes they will say, because I want my kids to have both their parents. And it's like, okay, so letting your kids have both their parents, is it okay to let them see that happening? Are you really helping? Are you really
You
helping
are
the
not.
situation or hurting? Because letting them kids see that, to me, is hurting. That's giving them mental abuse. That's teaching your son that he can hit women. That's teaching your daughter
Yeah.
that she can get abused. So to me, I feel like you're hurting them more than helping them.
You
For
are.
you saying it just to have your parents. Like I don't think, like, and I know sometimes we go through that as parents. We be so adamant about wanting to be with the person that you had kids with. You be like, oh, I just want my, I don't want to have a broken home. I want to be there. I want her their kids to have both. And so you kind of tolerate. A lot of times people tolerate. And if y'all in the comments, let me know. Have y'all ever been in a situation where you kind of tolerated somebody all because of the kids, but then it got too bad or it got too much, and then you was just like, you know what, I need to fall back. You know what I mean? Because
You
a
know
lot of
what?
times we do that just because of the simple fact of the kids, because so many of us has grown up in broken homes where we weren't growing
Hmm.
up with both our mothers and fathers. So a lot of times when you get into these relationships with people, and especially when it comes to kids, you try to fight harder to stay, all because of the fact that you don't want them kids to not have both of the parents in the home. And so you will push harder for that, just for that security. But sometimes it's
It's
not
true.
always about the finances. Like, because I remember even with my child's father, I didn't get a dollar. To this day, she's still waiting for birthday gifts from 16, 15 years. she, and she grown now. But it's like, when you sit back and you think about these things, it's like, are you going to deal with this? In my situation, I just wasn't dealing with it anymore. I'm not going to stay in a situation and be miserable, because
Mm-mm.
I've watched so many people stay in situations and be miserable. And to me, that's just
And it's
not what I
not good.
want. So it's
You
not.
know what? You know what I thought about too as I'm sitting here listening to this? In
Mm-hmm,
one or two ways, but I remember this because sometimes this stuff can end up being psychological. They
mm-hmm,
talked about this about with people in wartime. Like
mm-hmm,
you could get so brainwashed to where you start protecting your abuser. You know,
mm-hmm,
you'll get into a mindset to where that's your savior and you're clinging to that person, right? That's one thing when your mind has broken down and you're accepting this. The
mm-hmm,
other part of that is when your children are watching this, they gonna come out of it either one or two ways. They gonna come out of it saying the hell to the no. When
mm-hmm.
I get older, that was me. I was 5. Ain't
Right.
nobody gonna abuse me because I saw hands-on abuse. Because you
Mm-hmm,
know in the 60s they was beating up women like men. And they are either you're gonna have that child that's gonna say, no way, Jose, that's not gonna be my life, or
mm-hmm.
you're gonna have that child that becomes that abuser, or either they're gonna say they're gonna be passive aggressive and they're gonna start allowing people to abuse them. And
Right.
so you either way, none of them scenarios are good in my eyes. That
Mm-hmm,
that you got to have your guard up as a child, or
mm-hmm.
either you're gonna become an abuser, or either you're gonna let somebody abuse you. But I know for me, when I determined that I wasn't gonna let a man put his hands on me,
Right.
but then my mother, when I got older, my mother was telling me, don't put your hands on a man. Because a man, some men will fight you like a man.
Right.
And
Right.
what happened to me? I became a verbal abuser
Mm-hmm,
if you was effing with me. Now I didn't just wake up abusing people with my mouth, but
mm-hmm,
that's how I should say a verbal assassin. I could assassinate you with my mouth without putting my hands on you. And that still wasn't good, but it allowed me to defend myself. When I was in there working for a racist organization, people wasn't coming just picking on me. They knew they was gonna catch it. But I that still was a backlash from that. So I think we got to be aware, everybody, even people in the TikTok land, you got to be aware that that's not cute either way, allowing kids to watch you be abused or be an abuser.
Right. Now,
It's not good.
y'all can hear. Let me know if y'all can or cannot hear on here. And go ahead and put in the comments what you think about this. Now, I'm going to flip it a little bit. Now, one insecurity is not automatically wrong. Most people do not want to struggle. And that's just, people just don't want to struggle. So most people want stability. So when does wanting security become using somebody? And that's the thing that a lot of times people can't, those are the questions, because sometimes some people just are just wanting that security. So they're like, okay, if I have this person in my house, I'm gonna just say, okay, I'm making $2,500 a month. This man is making $2,500 a month. Now we bringing $5,000 into the house, so now we can live good and we can be comfortable. Not necessarily saying we so in love, or even this person is the person that I should be with, or this is the right person for me. Is mainly because of the fact that this person is able to bring that a certain figure into their household to make y'all live comfortable. So when it comes to healthy, wanting a responsible party, wanting bills handled, wanting shared goals, wanting stability, wanting to build together. That's when you're talking about healthy. But when you talk about unhealthy, you're talking about pretending to love somebody for money, refusing to contribute, staying only because of benefits, manipulating someone financially, and accepting the I'm sorry, it's people trying to comment on my life, and basically accepting abuse from someone that just to keep the lifestyle. So when is the line between wanting security and using somebody? Can you just, like, some people, like I said, some people will stay in a situation because they just want to have that security. And I think 100, I ain't gonna say 100, but a lot of people, I hate to say it, a lot of people are in situations because of security, because they don't want to be paying stuff alone, because they don't want to feel like they got to do it all on by themselves, because they feel like, okay, the kids, okay, this. They always have a something. It's always that thing. So would you downgrade your lifestyle for love? So let's just say you were sitting up there and you had, like you said, you had your house, you had all that stuff, and let's just say that man didn't have it. So let's make it a little personal. Would you give up your luxury lifestyle for a peaceful relationship? Would you trade in the big house for a smaller house if the relationship was healthy? Would you trade in expensive gifts and for respect? Would you trade in trips for loyalty? Would you trade status for peace? So I want y'all in the comments, y'all put in there, would you do that? Would you say peace or lifestyle? Would you want peace or do you want lifestyle? Tell me in the comments, do you want peace or lifestyle? Because some people do things for lifestyle and some people do things for peace. When I handled my situation the way I was doing it, I did it for peace, not for lifestyle. Because I feel like I'm strong enough as a woman. I'm always about my stuff, about doing. And I feel like anytime I get with somebody, I'm going to bring something to the table. I'm not just looking for somebody to open up the table for me. So I'm coming with everything that's on it. So therefore, when we coming together, and we riding like it's nobody. But they have some people who are just looking for that, and people stay in situations because of that, and it's so sad. But then you sit back and you listen to these stories, and you listen to the people when they get in the. Okay, let me give you an example. You'll sit back and listen to the story after the breakup, right? After the divorce, after all that. And then it's, oh, this person did this person was that, this person this person that, all this stuff about this person. But you stayed through all this stuff with this person all these years. And now that you finally left, then it's like this person was the worst person in the world. But this person was doing all these things for how many years before you finally let it go? Why did it take you so long to leave that situation? Was it because of peace or was it because of lifestyle?
I think okay, that's powerful. That's powerful. But for me, what I think that definitely I value my peace with another person because my lifestyle, I'm gonna build it to be what I want it to be, right? I
Exactly.
have that much confidence in me that I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna keep my lifestyle to a level. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going below that level. I'm not bringing it down. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
they always say. You should never dim your light, put your light under a barrel to make anybody else feel like they gonna shine, right?
Right.
But so I value my peace at all costs. That's why I had to get out. That's how I
Right.
said I ain't gonna die like this. But
Mm-hmm.
when you were making the point about what would you do, you sticking it out, you stand in it with this
Yeah.
person for your lifestyle situation. But what even if y'all really ain't together, y'all not really loving each other like that.
Now
But
y'all
what
can
do
be
you
in separate rooms. Y'all can be really
right
like not.
roommates?
Y'all could basically be living like roommates, but however, you're there because of what the person can do for you, not
Right.
really
But
what
but
y'all.
what do you do when they want to leave?
Right.
What do you do if he or she get tired of that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all didn't really have that straight agreement, but y'all
Right.
in there playing house, y'all playing roommates. But what do you do when they get tired?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm thinking.
But
You got to be
when
thinking
they
about
get
that.
tired, they do it. The thing is, when the tired come, is a little. I say it's a little flip with that though, and you know why I say that?
Why?
Because because when a person really, okay, let's just say me, I'm in a relationship with somebody, right? This
Mm-hmm.
person is doing all kinds of craziness, cheating, being
Carrying on.
manipulative, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I just kept staying in the situation, kept staying because this person was the breadwinner. He was paying all the bills, he was doing this, that, and the other. And all I did was sit home. I didn't work, I didn't do anything. You know what I mean? I'm just sitting here. I'm just here living off of this person. However, now this person start venturing off, but they always been venturing off. It's not something new. You see what I'm saying? So now
Right?
it's like, but now you start having people like this. You see what I'm saying? You get these people, and then the
In your
thing that
ear.
happens is once you start letting these people in, then it's like, I got to get out of this situation. Oh, I can't deal with this because of why? Because you started doing too much of this. And that's why I always tell people a lot of times you can't tell your relationships to everybody. Like, everybody is not meant to hear about what you got going on in your household, especially with your
Oh
partner.
God.
Because when you get too many people, especially people who are not really for you in your relationship, they either going to make it even worse sometimes, or either they're going to put you in situations where now you're thinking of things that you probably wasn't even thinking before, depending on who you're talking to. You see what I'm saying? And then
Mm-hmm.
now you've been dealing with this for say however many years. Now you want ultimatums. Now if you don't do this now, then I'm going to. Then if you don't, if this don't, then I'm going to. If you don't, you see what I'm saying? But you've been dealing with
Right.
say umpteen years, but now it's like I need you to change right now and right now. And so now this person like, man, go ahead. I've been this is me. This is who I am. So at this point, you either take it or leave it. And if you don't want to take it, then it is what it is. Now you go figure it out. So now you out here on your own. Now you got to figure out your security because now this person done went and then they doing what they've been doing. They ain't never
What
stopped.
is your plan B? Exactly.
Never stopped. So it's like now it's like, okay, what is it? So the fear the fear of starting over now. So the thing now is the biggest reason stay in fear is not always love. Fear of starting over, fear of paying everything alone, fear of losing your image, fear of what people are going to say, and that's the biggest thing a lot of times what people going
Yeah,
to say,
yeah.
and
Feeling embarrassed.
fear of not really finding somebody else, and then finding somebody that's for you and of you, because sometimes people will, like, I always was told, and I've learned this the hard way because I was this person where I went backwards to somebody that I was with, and sometimes it's a okay thing and sometimes it's not, because sometimes you left a person for a reason and you don't want to go back into that. And
Right.
so for me, it's just like, depending on what I left that person for, I'm not going to venture right back into that same situation because I already know why I left you. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes some people get so dealing with emotional dependence, financial dependence, social images, and starting over late in life. parenting alone and rebuilding and things, that they tend to just get in anything with somebody just because they start seeing other people getting in something stronger, or other people feeling love. So they're like, oh, I need to get, and then they end up with somebody, with another bad relationship because you just rushed into it. You didn't give yourself time to focus on yourself and focus on what you needed to do. Get your plan B together. You was just like, I'm going to find somebody to help me. Like I said, there's security. And sometimes people know the relationship is dead. They just haven't figured out how to live without those benefits. So
I don't know how people do that though.
and
How
that's
can you just stay in that pit of hell and you can't stand to even look at them, and their actions are telling you they don't like looking at you, and then it could just digress into the pit of hell. You on the way to church cussing each other out. It's just like, oh my God. That's when you know you have hit the rock bottom.
Right.
You are scraping on the coals of hell. And
Now I'm gonna ask you this. Let me ask you these questions, and this one some short answers, just short responses. And y'all in the comments, give me these responses too over in the comments on live. If you can only pick one, no long answers. Everybody just one. Just pick one. The first one is love or money. Put in the comments, love or money.
I say love.
Peace or lifestyle.
Peace.
Gifts or loyalty.
Oh, loyalty.
Security or chemistry.
Ooh, if we don't have no chemistry, we can't get secure. I say chemistry first, then security.
High income or respect.
Respect.
Nice car or good character.
Oh, character.
Provider or partner.
Provider.
Stay and be comfortable or leave and rebuild.
Oh, if I have to, I'll leave and rebuild.
Would you stay if the money stopped?
Depends on why it stopped.
Would you date someone broke but has ambition?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not broke, but you know, you got a plan.
On that one, you said not broke, but there are sometimes you can be in a situation where I can be like, okay, I'm here, and I'm gonna give myself as an example. I'm a person who help people with business setup. I help you set your business up. I also I do taxes, I do bookkeeping, I do payroll, I do all that kind of stuff. So you coming to me, you have an idea. You may not have nothing going on for yourself at all, but you know what you want. And I like everything about you. To me, I can be like, okay, you may not have it right now, but I can help you get there. Now, sometimes some people would say that's not a good thing, but sometimes it can be, because if I help you, but then they say sometimes when you help a person and then once they get where they need to go, then they don't want to be with you no more because they know you got that help. So that can go both ways. Sometimes it's kind of hard, but sometimes you can be able to do both. And I love a person with ambition that's trying to do something. For me, I don't want somebody that don't have no ambition. And would you date somebody rich or but disrespectful?
Hell no. Because they'll run you in the ground. And just because they got the money, they going to really get you.
Now, I want y'all to get these comments in there. I want y'all to answer them questions, because that's what we talking about. So, if someone says, I would leave, and you say, okay, but what if your kids has no savings? And if someone says, I would stay, and then you be like, for how long? If someone says it depends, and then you be like, what would it depend on? That, you know what I mean? So it's like, what is the thing? You see what I'm saying? So I want to leave everybody with this one final question. If somebody paid every bill or every gift, gave you the lifestyle you wanted, but you had no peace, no trust, no respect, no real love, would you stay? Say yes or no in the comments. Would you stay?
I say hell to the no.
Now,
hell no.
Right. Now, tonight's conversation really comes down to this. Money can make life easier. Security can make you comfortable. Gifts can make you feel appreciated, but none of that automatically means you are loved. And love without respect isn't healthy either. A relationship should not require you to trade your peace for a lifestyle. And if the only reason you're staying is because you are afraid to lose the money, then it might be the right time to ask, what are you really holding on to? Now, if the money stop, will the love still be there? Let me know. Put it in the comments. If that money stopped, would that love still be there? Would you still be stalking their pages, trying to see what they doing, still texting and calling and being a stalker?
Don't be a stalker.
Cause you got some people that will just be like, I'm done, I don't want that, but then they still be following everybody and they bracket, all they friends and family, trying to communicate with everybody they connected to. And I'm like, if you left, leave that person alone, leave them
Leave them
people
alone.
alone, move on with your life and live your life. But some people get
Yes.
so caught up in that and they get stuck and they start looking simple. But if y'all enjoyed tonight's conversation, make sure you subscribe to Talk It Out with D&D on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you know when we going live. And share this episode if you know somebody who needs to hear this conversation. So come
Yes.
back next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. This is Talk It Out with D&D. Denise Murray and my girl Denise Day. Two Denises, two perspectives, and we gonna talk it out, baby. So y'all go
Yes.
ahead and put them comments in there, and let's begin to keep talking it out. Bye bye, y'all.
Bye. It was a good one. Yeah, next week.
Ugh.